Another beautiful day. I'm pretty sure we got some more stuff in our mailbox. Oh, wait, we're missing something. Ta-da! Mail day. Let's go see what it is. Let's see what we got. Ah, yes. So these are the RC all-wheel drive CVDs that just came out. It's funny, I was literally just talking on Facebook to somebody about these, and they posted a video saying how poor the turning radius is. And I was saying I was waiting on mine still, so now we have them. Oh, those don't seem bad. Why is he saying it's so bad? I mean, it's not crazy. Yeah, I don't know what degree that is, if you want to get real technical, but I bet that's more than the dog bones, and they feel smooth. They feel real smooth. We were saying maybe you could Dremel off this lip right here. Hopefully it wouldn't create breakage. It's hard to see down in there. Oh, the sleeve comes off. Okay, cool. So the sleeve comes off, and you've got this pin, so you could probably just poke out the pin here. Oh, we just dropped it. Now we gotta find it. Oh man. So I keep this stack of magnets around for my body post stuff, and I throw it on the ground and rub it around. We have carpet in this room, and try to find anything that we drop. Damn it, I can't believe I dropped that. BRB. Ta-da! We got it. I didn't even need to pause the video. All right, so that's a pretty good sized hole in the axle shaft here. It's pretty thin. I wonder if that's gonna be prone to breaking right here. This side's not too bad. I mean, you kind of expect both of them to be pushed kind of to their limits so that you can get the maximum amount of movement here, an angle. You know, the further out your hole is on both of these, closest to the end, the more angle you're gonna have. So you could maybe Dremel this down or sand it down just a little bit, but you're not gonna gain a lot, but maybe just enough. It's hard to say, and I'm not sure if I want to go through and experiment with that just yet. We probably will at some point, but not yet. And then these are held on with just an O-ring, it looks like. There's no groove in the C-cup side. It's not a C-cup, but on this side of the CVD. So it looks like it's just held on by the O-ring. It doesn't like dip into a groove or channel to help keep the O-ring in place, but you shouldn't matter because this is on your hub of your wheel anyway. I mean, it seems okay. I'm excited. I'm excited for this. So just be careful when you're taking these out. If you slide this off, you will drop out your pin because it is in there very loose, and the pin is very small. Okay. All right, so this is the stock axles, the dog bones, and I'm just gonna kind of show you the turning radius on them and running, right? So I'm gonna make sure our dual rate's maxed out. Yeah, our dual rate should be maxed out. This is all stock. So you can see there isn't a lot of binding, but once you start to get higher speed, it kind of jumps a little bit. And that's our max angle, basically our max turn radius. But it does jump a little there. And that's basically the dog bones. Oh, a little bit of shivers. These stock servos are so bad. So that was basically the dog bone starts to kind of hit on the C-cup when it's going into the slot, and it's hitting on the back of the C-cup when it starts to get a max turn radius, and that's what causes the hopping. So we'll see if the new RC all-wheel drive CVDs do that, and we'll see if the turn radius is the same or more. So here we have the CVD and then the stock dog bone axle, and one of the benefits of the CVD is that you don't have this pin to fall out. On the CVD, there is a pin, but it's covered by a sleeve, so you can see the pin here, right? And so that pin has a retaining sleeve, at least on these ones, and then this O-ring will hold that sleeve so that you don't have to worry about the pin falling out. Or another thing, I mentioned this in another video, if you over tighten your screws or have aftermarket screws or aftermarket knuckles or axle, sometimes your screw will actually poke through right here and you'll hit on the dog bone as it spins. And if your screw hits on the dog bone as it's spinning, you can break this pin, bend the pin, break the axle, mess stuff up, and it just straight up binds. So the CVDs won't do that. Worst case, you'll have a screw that's kind of hitting on here and it'll rub, but it's not going to ever catch on the pin and actually bend or break something. And even if your screw is fine and it's poking through just a little bit, just a tiny amount of screw poking through this screw hole, and you're not hitting, but then eventually your dog bone pin slides out just a little or moves, because these can actually move. And there's a way to fix that too. You can actually just kind of pull the pin out, take a little ball peen hammer or punch and just kind of dent the pin a little bit and then force it back through and Loctite it, stuff like that. Anyway, this will move, and even if you don't have it binding, and eventually it moves and you'll hit the screw then. So it may not even be a screw issue. Your screws may be just barely poking through and it seems fine for, for a bunch of runs. And then all of a sudden you just like click and you hit the screw because the ball or the pin in the dog bone moved. These don't have that issue. And ideally you're supposed to get more turn radius, but I don't think so. I don't know if these ones are going to give us more turn radius, because when I take the stock, it seems like you can get basically the same. Mind you, it does start to bind a little, but it's hard to tell when it's not in the truck, because if this is moving out of the cup, then you get more turn radius, obviously. So it's all going to kind of depend on your tolerances in your axle and where your bearings are and stuff like that. But it appears to be very, very similar, almost more on the stock. But again, it's hard to know until it's installed. So we'll go ahead and finish our install. It's easy install. All you do is pull the knuckles off, slide it out, and slide the new one in. We've already got one here. We'll go ahead and do the second one here. Just drop the axle in, then your knuckle can slide right over it. Oh no, we gotta turn our steering a little. There we go. Axle slides right over it. And put our screws back in. Remember, don't over tighten these. It's just plastic. And while we don't have to worry about the screws hitting on the dog bones, you still don't want to over tighten it and strip them out, and you're losing screws out on the trail. And basically just going to back them all out just a little bit because it felt a little tight. There we go, much better. Now, one thing we might do is pull the servo horn off, and then we can turn the steering manually, because you may have an aftermarket servo horn that's longer, different servo obviously, and have more turn radius. So we'll see if we can actually see how far it goes. So when it was stock, it was starting to hop just on this one, so we'll see. All right, so these are the new CVDs, the RC all-wheel drive CVDs. Look at that. On max turn, there's no jumping. Much more smooth. So I bet you could get a little bit more turn radius out of it. Maybe? It looks like our servo is kind of maxing out. I'll show that. So we're maxing out, right? We're hitting our servo saver. So that's the max probably that the knuckles will allow. I'm trying to look in here. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go any further. I think that's the knuckles are actually limiting that. We can pull this off real quick. Yeah, so I mean, that's our max turn radius. I don't know if that's the knuckles or the actual CVDs. It's hard to tell. But again, there was no jumping, which was super nice. mean, I'm pushing it all the way. It's actually my tire rubbing, sorry. Yeah, I'm pushing it all the way. There's no jumping. So that's a big bonus, right? That and the fact that you're not going to bind with your dog bone. Also, oddly, this one doesn't have as much, but look how much extra axle threading we have. For some reason, this side doesn't have as much. I don't know what's going on there. I'll have to pull them back off and look. But this one's got a lot more. And I don't know if these other ones that we have a lot more, but you can compare it to a stock. Well, it looks about the same. Odd. I don't know why that one's poking out so much. I wonder if, did we lose our O-ring? We're going to pull them back off and we're going to look. So when you're working on your knuckles and whatnot, the easiest way to tell if there's binding is to just pop off your steering link right here. It's one screw. Just pop that off, and then you can really feel how bound you are, how tight your knuckles are. They should be very loose. They shouldn't have play in them that they're so loose and space between the screws, but you should definitely be able to move them very, very freely. I mean, all it takes is one turn and you end up a lot more tight. And again, that's just going to put wear and tear on your servo. And especially on the lower end, cheaper servos, you want to have that as free as possible. If you're starting to get into the higher end, you know, Reefs 99s or even these guys, you know, it's not going to be as big of a deal. But even maybe on an Emax, I would try to, again, you just want it to be loose. You don't want binding. Binding's never good. So pull that off and you can really feel how smooth it is. So that extra long stud was just that particular CVD. Both of the other packs do not have a long stud. I don't know why this particular one does. These ones are basically stock length. All the other ones I have are stock length. So for some reason, this one just didn't get cut down. I kind of wish they all had this length. Why don't make them all this length? That way we don't have to worry about our nuts falling off. Anyway. So are these a huge improvement in turn radius? I don't think so. I do think you get a little extra turn radius without the bouncing. So I guess in that regard, a little bit, but you're still pretty limited by your servo and your, you know, your knuckles and things of that nature. So you're not getting a huge amount of turn radius difference from stock. But it is enough to, you can tell there's a difference. Like I said, in the stock version, you can see it bouncing when you get to max, and these are not going to do that. Another huge benefit, like I said, are all of the, it's all encased. You don't have to worry about things binding as much or getting caught. And last, the stock dog bones and stock axles are basically like $12 to $20, depending on where you find them and if they're original axial or aftermarket cheapy Chinese stuff. And these are $17 or $18. I think they're $17.99. So if you're going to be replacing your stock axle anyway, you probably want to use these instead of the dog bones. But are these a worthwhile $18 upgrade? I don't know. It's really hard to say. I really wish that they made these in +4s as well, because then, you know, when you're buying your +4 axle anyway, you can just get these and they'll be better than dog bones, and you're not paying for no reason just to, you know, get a little tiny, I mean, I would say it's like a 5 or 10% benefit increase in getting these. So replacing your stock axles with these, I probably wouldn't do that. Now, if you broke a dog bone and you need to buy them anyway, yes, 100%, I would go this route. And if you're trying to go to +4s, I would wait till they make these in +4s. Yeah, I kind of wish they were +4s. I run a lot of +4s on my stuff. So, and when I upgrade, I want to upgrade from a stock to a +4. I'd rather go with something like this. But again, there's no reason, in my opinion, to upgrade from the stock to these if your stocks are just fine. So just to show this a little bit more, these are the stock dog bones. So that's max turn. It's not being stopped by the servo or anything along those lines. It's literally being limited by the steering knuckles. And for some reason, we're not getting any hop. I don't know if it's because there needs to be weight, but again, completely free, completely open, no jumping or binding. I suppose when there's a little weight on there, you can kind of feel them jumping a little bit, but nothing crazy. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it doesn't seem like a huge improvement in turn radius at all. Maybe just a little more smooth. I don't know. Like I said, if you need new axles, get them. I wouldn't upgrade for no reason though. So I hope that gave you some insight into these guys. I have mixed feelings. I don't know if I am disappointed. I was kind of expecting more, but I don't know. Like I said, they're basically the same price as stock dog bones and axles. And if you're breaking stock axles, you probably want to go with this on your next replacement, but it's not really an upgrade. It's from a performance standpoint. I guess from a durability standpoint, it's more of an upgrade. Like I said, you're not going to bind as much. I don't know if they'll break as easily. I kind of feel like they won't, because most breaking happens when you're kind of getting bound. But this little end piece here inside there, that's pretty thin. So it's hard to say till we get out there and really run them. But again, can't hate them, but I don't love them. So you make your own decision, I guess, when you purchase them. Like I said, they're not an upgrade. I wouldn't buy them with your regular axles. If they come out with +4s, then you snag them up if you want to run +4s. But till that happens, these are just basically replacement axles, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe somebody else has seen something more impressive with them. Maybe it takes a certain kind of build and then you can they kind of shine more. But again, we were maxing out our steering knuckles with the stocks and they weren't doing too bad. And these didn't seem to give us much more other than they were a little more smooth. So there's that. But is that worth $18? I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. Comment below, like, subscribe, share this in your local groups or any of the other groups where people are interested in knowing how these CVDs are performing. Yeah, let me know. Thanks.